Scott Robertson just named his team for the second test against South Africa in Cape Town, and I choked on my late night ramen. I literally gagged when I saw the team list. I had to remind myself that it wasn't April Fool's Day and that this really was the All Blacks starting 15 and reserve bench for the biggest game of the year so far. Wow. So you're probably wondering, has Razor lost all his marbles? I don't think so. This is a smart coach who, if anything, has been accused of being too conservative so far in his tenure. People have said, man, this is feeling a lot more like the Ian Foster years than we would like. Well, those days are over. It's midnight on the west coast of America, but I had to come to you immediately to break down this incredible, shocking, dare I say, earth-shattering team list and try to explain what Scotty is thinking. Because I actually think there could be a bit of a stroke of genius about this team. Now, firstly, let's go with numbers 1 through 5, the pack unchanged. And why would you change it? The pack was very good against South Africa for 65 minutes. It was the reserves that didn't quite bring the impact. So it makes sense to me that you're going to stick with the same guys for round 2. This is where it gets interesting. Now, Ardie Savea, he's pretty much the first name you put on the team sheet along with the captain, Scott Barrett. Not that surprising. Bringing back Sam Cane, who played very well last week and certainly has an incentive to get a win against South Africa after, do you remember, wasn't there like a World Cup final or something last year? I feel like something happened to Sam Cane in that game. Remind me in the comments. It was pretty forgettable, apparently. Anyway, I feel like Sam Cane might have a deep personal investment in getting a win over South Africa before he retires from All Black Rugby. Call me crazy. Number 6, Wallace, I want to say Mother Sititi. Damn! Are you kidding me, Scott? You really just started him? Not even bring him off the bench for a little bit of loose forward impact? No, you're just going to put him at 6. Oh, it's not even his usual position? That's cool. I mean, this is one of the ballsiest moves I have seen from Scott Robertson so far. Actually, I'm going to call it, this is the ballsiest move I have seen. Okay, so what is Razor Robertson thinking? Well, he realizes that we have been beaten at the breakdown by the South Africans, particularly in the last quarter when Quagga Smith came on and ran amok. What was missing? Bit of physicality, bit of mongrel, an enforcer type. I didn't even think of putting Sititi at 6. I was thinking, well, you could have Dalton and Sititi on the bench, and we're just going to have to wait for Finau to come of age or for Shannon Frizzell to return from overseas. But Scott Robertson doesn't have time. Today, that's the time to do it. Right now. Let's look at Sititi at 6. He certainly is going to give you that physicality in the loose forward mix. Yeah, I'm predicting there could be a knock-on or two, and I do not want to jinx this young man, who I'm a huge fan of. And you would know that if you follow this channel and subscribe. I really appreciate it if you would subscribe, by the way, if you haven't already. But of all the options in the squad, this is the kind of nuclear option. Okay, you want a bit of muscle at the breakdown? Wallace Sititi at 6. Time will tell. There could be some rough edges, but there will be explosive physicality, and there is a good chance that we're going to be able to counter some of that notorious, world-famous Springbok beef that's going to be coming at us for 80 minutes. So I like it. Cortez Ratama, man, another shocker. I would have thought that Razor would opt for TJ's experience, but I guess what he's thinking here is that we had the measure of them in the backline. Let's lean into that strength. We're not just going to outmuscle the Springboks, even on our best day. That's not going to happen. We're going to have to go around them. And we did show last week that we could create space, and we did lay on 4 very good tries. Some of them opportunistic, an intercept, some counterattacking, a maul that was perhaps a little more controversial than we realized at the time as New Zealanders, but ultimately well-crafted tries that had a heads-up element to them. Let's try and run the South Africans off their feet from minute 1. Cortez Ratama is your guy. He's going to snipe a bit more. He is more mobile. It's exciting. D-Max at 10, he really didn't put a foot wrong for most of that game. His tactical kicking was much improved, so I'm happy to see D-Mac in there. Same midfield combination, Jordy Barrett and Rieko Ioane. We're loving Rieko Ioane's pace. But the biggest casualty is Beauden Barrett going to the bench. And finally, we're going to get Will Jordan at 15. Razor Robertson is on record saying he's a fullback that can play wing. Well, this week, he is the fullback in black, and that's very exciting. So that has necessitated a bit of a reshuffle. Sevu Reece comes on at 14, and what you've got there is a very well-tested, experienced Crusaders combination. These guys know each other's game like the back of their hand, so I'm actually not too nervous about such a big reshuffle there. He's got more minutes playing with Will Jordan than any other winger in the squad, so I really feel fine about that. Mark Talea, love Mark Talea, and start him. Don't have him on the bench. I think we found out last week it is a luxury having a winger on the bench, especially against South Africa. You probably want an injection of pure grade A Kiwi beef, or I guess lamb is what mostly gets exported, but beef in this metaphor. Some loose forward muscle is going to be better on the bench than a specialist winger just floating around. And we do have some beef on the bench. So let's move on. Safo Amua, Ofa Tuangafasi, Fletcher Newell, same guys backing up the front row of the scrum. And understandably, because that aspect of the game did go pretty well, as did the line-out overall. Sam Dowery's in there, but you bring Luke Jacobson in, an abrasive player, a very good defensive player. So we are getting a little bit more punch in terms of the loose forwards, something I spoke about in my last video, where I said the All Blacks bench is broken at this moment in time. Here are some ways to fix it. Well, this could go a long way towards doing that. And then TJ Perenara, Anton Leonard-Brown, Beauden Barrett. What is going on here? Experience. Scott Robertson has realized that it was experience that got the South Africans home. Great players, extraordinary players. Listen, it doesn't mean anything having a lot of test caps to your name if you're not an awesome player. The entire bomb squad are awesome. Let me be very clear about that, okay? I bow down to them, all right? I just want my South African followers to know that. Great respect for them as players. But experience for days. And a vastly inexperienced All Blacks reserves bench in comparison. So Robertson thought, we need that lift. We need the experience. We don't have it. Well, we're going to have to start the new guys. Instead of bringing them off the bench, we're going to have to flip-flop them. And look, maybe Beauden Barrett, as good as he is, there's a little bit of a punishment element here for some mistimed, miscued kicks that did put us under a lot of heat towards the end of that game. So Barrett has been a lot more tidy with his kicking earlier in the year. Not so much in that last game, despite some of the incredible touches he had on attack. So there could be an element of saying, all right, Beauden, you didn't quite nail your shot. Step up Will Jordan. So overall, how do I feel about this radical experimental team? I like it. Razor's taking a long-term view. If he wants Will Jordan to be wearing the number 15 jersey in 2027, let's start the process now. What have we got to lose? Okay, the Freedom Cup, that's what we have to lose. Maybe in the big picture, there's more to gain from playing these guys. And I never want to see the All Blacks drop a single game, believe me. But there is a bigger picture here. And let's be honest, we started the safer first 15 last week, and ultimately, they didn't get the job done. We can't blame it all on a weak reserve bench. That team did not get the win. So Scott Robertson thought, I need to make some changes here. I need to mix it up. And he is a man who has the courage of his convictions. I'm liking what I see. I think this team can win. If the worst case scenario happens and the Freedom Cup is going back to South Africa for the first time in many years, boy, have we given some of these new guys who are going to be the spine of the All Blacks team in years to come a valuable boost of experience in a major test cauldron. Cape Town, Newlands, I've been there, amazing atmosphere, incredible. The All Blacks will have a lot of support, but they're still playing in South Africa, far from home, far from their comfortable beds in New Zealand, and it is going to be a challenge. What do you guys think? Has Razor lost his mind, or is this a stroke of genius? Let me know in the comments section. Man, I can't wait to read these because this team is fire. I'm honestly so shocked that he did this, but I love it. And bring on Saturday. I'll be here on YouTube right after the game finishes to break it down with you. See you then, guys. Bye for now.